In a world that often feels overwhelmingly complex, reliant on intricate global networks and ever-accelerating technology, there exists a community that quietly embodies a different way of life. A life built on principles that resonate deeply with the core American ideal, self-reliance. We're talking about the Amish. At the very heart of Amish self-reliance lies a concept that might seem counterintuitive to the modern emphasis on individualism, the power of community. For the Amish, self-sufficiency is not a solitary pursuit, but a collective endeavor. Their communities are tightly knit, built on generations of shared values, mutual support, and a profound sense of interdependence. A cornerstone of this communal strength is the principle of Gelassenheit, a German term meaning yielding or submission to God, to the church, and to the community. This shared understanding fosters an environment where mutual aid is not just an occasional act of kindness, but a fundamental way of life. Perhaps the most iconic example of this is the barn raising. Imagine a family whose barn, essential to their livelihood, has been destroyed. Within days, sometimes even hours, the entire community mobilizes. Men and boys, skilled in carpentry and construction, arrive with tools and know-how. Women and girls prepare and serve food, providing sustenance and support. There's no complex bureaucracy, no insurance adjusters, no waiting for external aid. There is simply the community, working in unison, raising not just a structure of wood and beams, but a testament to their collective strength. This deep-seated commitment to looking after one another means that in times of sickness, hardship, or loss, no Amish family is left to fend for itself. This internal support system reduces reliance on outside social services and fosters a powerful sense of security and belonging. It's a form of self-reliance where the self is the entire community, resilient and capable because its members are inextricably linked. The Amish connection to the land is foundational to their self-sufficiency. For generations, they have been an agrarian people, their lives and livelihoods deeply intertwined with the soil and the seasons. This isn't just about farming as a business. It's about a way of life that ensures food security and a profound independence from industrialized food systems. Step onto a traditional Amish farm, and you'll witness a model of sustainable agriculture honed over centuries. Instead of vast monocultures, you'll often find a diversity of crops growing alongside thriving vegetable gardens and orchards. Livestock, integral to their farming, are raised with care, providing not only food but also manure for fertilizer and horsepower for fieldwork. The reliance on horse-drawn equipment isn't merely a rejection of modern technology. It's a practical choice that aligns with their values of simplicity, sustainability, and working in harmony with nature. Amish farmers employ time-tested methods like crop rotation to maintain soil fertility and natural pest control, minimizing the need for synthetic chemicals. The harvest season is a period of intense, communal activity, focused not just on immediate consumption, but on preserving food for the year ahead. Kitchens become bustling centers of canning, pickling, drying, and smoking, ensuring that pantries are well-stocked and families are nourished through the winter months from the fruits of their own labor. This direct control over their food production, from seed to table, is a powerful expression of self-reliance, insulating them from the vulnerabilities of complex supply chains and market fluctuations. Beyond the fields, Amish self-reliance is powerfully expressed through their mastery of skilled trades and craftsmanship. In a world increasingly reliant on mass-produced goods designed for obsolescence, the Amish continue a tradition of creating items of enduring quality, utility, and beauty by hand. Skills like carpentry, blacksmithing, cabinet making, quilting, and sewing are not hobbies, but vital professions passed down from generation to generation. An Amish woodworker, for instance, doesn't just assemble pre-cut pieces. They understand the nature of wood, the art of joinery, and the enduring strength of careful construction. The result is furniture renowned for its durability and timeless design. Similarly, Amish quilters create intricate works of art that are also functional, providing warmth and comfort. Each stitch a testament to patience and skill. This emphasis on practical skills extends to everyday life. Amish men are often adept at construction, enabling them to build their own homes, barns, and community buildings. They learn to repair their own equipment, adapting tools and machinery to fit their unique needs, often without reliance on public electricity. Women are skilled in all aspects of homemaking, from gardening and food preservation to sewing clothes for their families. This broad base of practical knowledge means they are less dependent on external specialists and services. When something breaks, the first instinct is often to repair it. When something is needed, the question is often, can we make it ourselves? This hands-on capability is a cornerstone of their independence. Underpinning Amish self-reliance is a deep-seated culture of resourcefulness and frugality. This isn't about deprivation, but about a conscious choice to live simply, to distinguish between needs and wants, and to make the most of what they have. This mindset stands in stark contrast to the consumer-driven culture that surrounds them. The Amish approach to material possessions is guided by principles of practicality and sustainability. Waste is minimized. Items are built to last, cared for meticulously, and repaired when broken. Clothing is often homemade, simple, and functional, mended and passed down. Resources are shared within the community whenever possible. This deliberate avoidance of excessive materialism isn't just a religious or a cultural tenet. It's a practical strategy for independence. By limiting their wants, they reduce their need for external income and insulate themselves from the pressures of consumer debt. Their ingenuity is also remarkable. While they selectively adopt technology, their resourcefulness shines in how they adapt it to fit their values. For example, you might find sophisticated workshops powered not by grid electricity, but by diesel generators or hydraulic and pneumatic systems. Clever adaptations that provide necessary power without compromising their principle of separation from the public utility network. This selective engagement with the modern world, taking what is useful and adapting it to their needs, while rejecting what contradicts their values, is a hallmark of their pragmatic self-reliance. They demonstrate that making more from less is not a limitation, but a source of strength and freedom. This intricate web of community support, agricultural independence, skilled craftsmanship, and profound resourcefulness culminates in a remarkable degree of resilience. In a world characterized by rapid economic shifts, technological disruption, and societal uncertainties, the Amish way of life has demonstrated an enduring capacity to adapt and thrive. Because their local economies are often diversified, with a mix of agriculture, small businesses, and skilled trades, they are less susceptible to the impact of downturns in any single sector. Their low reliance on debt and their emphasis on savings provide a financial buffer. The strong social fabric means that individuals and families facing challenges are supported by the community, mitigating personal crises before they escalate. Furthermore, their practical skills and their ability to produce many of their own necessities, food, clothing, shelter, provide a fundamental level of security that is often elusive in more complex, interdependent societies. While they are not entirely immune to the pressures of the outside world, their self-reliant model provides a significant degree of insulation, allowing them to navigate change on their own terms, preserving their core values and way of life across generations. The Amish path is one of deliberate choice, rooted in deeply held beliefs. It is not a lifestyle easily replicated, nor is it presented here as a universal solution. Yet, their enduring success as a self-reliant people offers valuable perspectives for any society and any individual seeking greater independence and resilience. They demonstrate that true self-reliance is not just about rugged individualism, but also about the strength found in community. They remind us of the profound security that comes from a direct connection to the land and the ability to provide for one's own sustenance. They highlight the enduring value of practical skills and the quiet dignity of craftsmanship. And they show us that a life of thoughtful consumption and ingenious resourcefulness can lead to a deeper sense of freedom. In a world searching for more sustainable, more connected, and perhaps more meaningful ways to live, the quiet example of the Amish offers not a judgment on modern life, but a powerful, living testament to the enduring strength and profound satisfaction of self-reliance. Their journey, alongside the broader American narrative, provides rich food for thought on what it means to truly stand on one's own, supported by community and guided by principle. The Amish are widely recognized for their simple, self-sufficient way of life. Among the many aspects of their daily routine, one frequently asked question is, how do Amish families heat their homes without gas or electricity? In this video, we will explore the practical methods, traditional technologies, and architectural strategies the Amish employ to keep warm through cold winters, relying almost entirely on renewable, non-electrical sources of energy. The Amish communities trace their roots back to 16th century Europe. At that time, wood-fueled hearths and masonry fireplaces were the norm. As they migrated to North America in the 18th and 19th centuries, they retained these time-tested methods. Unlike modern homes that depend on gas furnaces or electric baseboards, Amish households continue to harness solid fuels, such as wood and coal for warmth. Central to Amish belief is stewardship of the land and responsible resource use. Heating accounts for a significant portion of household fuel needs. By sourcing wood from their own forests, seasoning it properly, and burning efficiently, Amish families minimize waste and maintain self-reliance. The cornerstone of Amish home heating is the wood stove. In most barns and homes, large cast iron or steel stoves occupy the kitchen or central living area. These stoves burn hardwood logs, oak, maple, or hickory, chosen for their high energy content. Modern Amish manufacturers often install airtight doors and secondary combustion chambers to increase heat output and reduce creosote. Some Amish builders construct masonry heaters, massive stone or brick structures that absorb heat from a quick, high-temperature burn and radiate it slowly over many hours. The firebox channels hot gases through long internal flues embedded in the masonry, extracting nearly all the usable heat before the gases exit through the chimney. These heaters can hold warmth for up to 12 hours after the fire has died down. In areas where regulations and availability allow, some Amish may use coal-burning stoves. Anthracite coal can burn extremely hot and clean, but it requires specialized grates and ash pans. Coal is less common among the Amish due to the preference for wood and the extra labor involved in procuring and handling it. Most Amish families manage woodlots on their farms. They use draft horses or tractors, depending on local ordnung rules, to fell trees selectively, maintaining a sustainable harvest. Dead or diseased trees are prioritized to promote forest health. Logs are hauled to sawmills, often Amish-owned, for cutting into uniform lengths. Freshly cut green wood must dry or season for at least 6 months, ideally a full year, to reduce moisture content below 20%. Seasoned wood burns hotter and produces less smoke and creosote. Amish stack logs in covered sheds or under lean-tos, leaving ends exposed to airflow. Proper stacking and protection from rain are crucial for efficient drying. After cutting and storing, logs are split with mauls or hydraulic splitters. Smaller pieces ignite more readily in stoves. Skilled woodworkers prioritize splitting along the grain to produce uniform pieces. Kindling and fire-starting materials often include wood shavings produced during furniture making, as many Amish craftspeople run woodworking shops. Amish homes are typically built with balloon frame or timber frame construction. Walls are sheathed with planed boards and often insulated with straw, sawdust, or modern fiberglass bats, where permissible. Exterior clapboards or shingles protect the structure, while interior layouts minimize heat loss. Windows are glazed with single panes of glass and fitted with wooden shutters on the interior or exterior. In cold months, shutters close at dusk to trap warmth and block drafts. Some communities have adopted insulating storm windows, installed manually on cold days, to improve thermal efficiency. Roofs are insulated with loose straw, hay, or more modern materials, like blown-in cellulose. Attic access panels are sealed tightly. Floors above unheated basements or crawl spaces are covered with insulating rugs or carpets. Heat rising from stoves often vents into attic spaces, helping to moderate upper floor temperatures. Amish builders often orient new homes and additions to maximize southern exposure. Large south-facing windows admit low-angle winter sunlight, warming interior masonry or floors. Overhangs and porches are designed to shade these windows in summer, preventing overheating. Interior walls of brick, stone, or concrete absorb solar heat during the day and release it slowly at night. In some homes, a stone interior wall sits directly behind the wood stove, capturing radiant energy and smoothing temperature swings. Wide porches and attached sheds create buffer zones that reduce wind exposure against exterior walls. Dense evergreen windbreaks, planted windward, further diminish chilling winds, reducing overall heat demand. Amish households often heat with cook stoves, large wood-burning models that combine oven, stovetop, and water heating functions. During meal preparation and daily cooking, significant heat radiates into adjacent rooms and hallways. Some communities install indirect-fired water heaters connected to wood stoves. A coil suspended in the stove's firebox heats household water for washing and supplemental space, heating via radiators. The system circulates by natural convection. Hot water rises into radiators. Cool water returns to the coil. Where local ordnung allows, small kerosene or lamp oil heaters provide localized warmth in workshops or outbuildings. These portable heaters burn liquid fuel in wick-fed burners. However, indoor use is limited by ventilation requirements and fire risk. Traditional stoves and fireplaces rely on natural convection. As air warms near the firebox, it rises and circulates through open doorways and transoms. Cooler air enters from lower vents or under doors, creating a passive airflow loop. In some modern Amish homes, cast-iron duct systems connect stoves to remote rooms. Heated air flows through insulated galvanized ducts by convection or with battery-powered fans. Recharge via solar panels to distribute warmth without electricity from the grid. Chimneys are built from brick or stone and lined with clay or metal flues. Their height and draft characteristics are carefully matched to stove specifications to ensure complete combustion, minimal smoke, and effective draw. Proper maintenance, regular sweeping, prevents creosote buildup and fire hazards. In late summer, Amish families inspect and repair stove gaskets, seals, and chimney masonry. They harvest, split, and stack wood, test damper mechanisms, and stock kindling and fire starters. Homes receive fresh insulating shutter covers and weather stripping. Each morning, a member of the household or a hired helper lights the primary stove by layering kindling and small splits. Throughout the day, seasoned logs are added to maintain a steady temperature. Ash pans are emptied into designated pits and later used as soil amendment in the garden. Open flames and hot surfaces pose risks. Amish homes keep metal buckets of sand and water filled near stoves. Fire tools, poker, shovel, are stored close at hand. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, battery-operated, are installed where permitted by local regulations. As temperatures rise, stoves and chimneys are thoroughly cleaned. Brick liners are inspected for cracks. Metal stovepipes are detached and stored, and ash pits are covered. Firewood sheds are reorganized for next season's use. Many Amish settlements operate community sawmills. Farmers bring logs to be milled into boards and beams. Cooperative ownership keeps costs low and ensures quality control over board dimensions necessary for stove construction or wood-fired heat distribution. In some districts, members hold joint woodland plots. Groups rotate harvesting responsibilities, share labor for felling and splitting, and distribute seasoned wood equitably among participating families. Amish stone masons, blacksmiths, and stove installers train apprentices within communities. Skilled craftsmen fabricate custom metal flue systems, fit airtight stove doors, and assemble masonry heaters, passing on knowledge through hands-on mentorship rather than formal schooling. By burning wood, a renewable, carbon-neutral fuel when sourced sustainably, the Amish reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Their localized supply chains minimize transportation emissions. While initial investments in masonry heaters or high-efficiency wood stoves can be significant, operating costs remain low. Firewood is harvested on-site or purchased at minimal expense. Maintenance and repairs are performed by local craftsmen, keeping dollars within the community. Off-grid heating methods are inherently resilient. In power outages, fuel supplies and wood-fired stoves continue to provide heat. Communities with no reliance on external utilities demonstrate how decentralized energy strategies can enhance self-sufficiency. Heating a home without gas or electricity requires careful planning, skilled craftsmanship, and a deep connection to natural resources. The Amish approach combines centuries-old traditions with selective modern enhancements, always guided by principles of self-reliance, environmental stewardship, and community cooperation. Whether through the slow, radiant warmth of a masonry heater or the steady glow of a wood-burning cook stove, these methods keep Amish homes comfortable through long winters, all without the flick of an electric switch. Amish barn raisings are a centuries-old rural tradition in North America, especially among Amish and Old Order Mennonite communities. In the 18th to 19th centuries, farmers needed very large wooden barns for hay, feed, and livestock. These barns were expensive and labor-intensive to build, so neighbors came together to help each other build one barn in a single effort. Today, Amish communities preserve this practice as a form of mutual aid or frolic, emphasizing community, faith, and shared work. In Amish life, barn raising strengthens social bonds and ensure that any family with a burning barn or big need can quickly get help from their neighbors. A barn raising is literally a community construction event. In rural 18th to 19th century North America, most farming families needed large barns, but could not build them alone. By enlisting unpaid labor from neighbors and relatives, each community ensured its farmers' barns would be built quickly. The custom was widespread on the American frontier and rural Canada, and it survives today mostly in close-knit Amish/Mennonite communities. Amish culture places a very high value on community and mutual aid. Amish religious teaching encourages helping others without seeking payment, trusting that the favor will be repaid in kind later. Barn raisings are examples of frolics, which are volunteer work gatherings that conclude with food and fellowship. The family hosting the barn raising typically retains ownership of the barn, but the whole community shares the work and the celebration. Because Amish groups traditionally avoid most modern technology, they rely on skilled craftsmanship and simple machines. Barns are built using heavy timber frames with traditional joinery, mortise and tenon joints secured by wooden pegs rather than nails. This method reflects both the old-fashioned building style and the Amish emphasis on manual skills. It also means each piece must fit precisely, which in turn requires careful advanced preparation. A successful one-day barn raising begins weeks or months in advance. Community leaders and the barn owner form a committee or designate experienced carpenters, barn builders, to plan every detail. Before the raising day, volunteers clear the ground, level the site, and build the foundation or cellar for the barn. The foundation is often made of poured concrete or stone and may be built a day or longer before the main event. A solid subfloor is sometimes installed on the foundation, so workers have a stable floor to stand on when assembling the frame. The family who will own the barn obtains all lumber, hardware, and materials ahead of time. Timber for the frame is usually harvested and hewn in advance, often in winter. In many Amish communities, local sawmills, often Amish-owned, produce the required beams, boards, and shingles quickly in one documented case. 12 separate sawmills work to supply the lumber for a single large barn within days. By the raising day, all posts, beams, rafters, and braces should be cut to size, with joinery, mortises, and tenons already cut into the timber. Experienced carpenters often pre-assemble each bent, a cross-section of the barn's frame. On the ground, they lay out the vertical posts and horizontal beams on flat sills, then cut and fit the mortise and tenon joints so everything interlocks precisely. Each joint is test-fitted and temporarily pegged. Rod axes, adzes, and handsaws are used to square the timber and cut channels, while chisels and augers create the mortises and tenons. Wooden pegs, often oak dowels, are prepared to hold the joints tightly once raised. The result is that on the raising day, each bent is ready to stand up and be locked together. Planning also involves mobilizing manpower. All able-bodied men in the community are expected to participate, unpaid. It is considered a civic duty. Failure to attend without good reason can lead to social censure. Leaders assign tasks based on experience. A few master builders will coordinate carpentry and major lifting operations. Other men will handle heavy lifting and bracing. Teenage boys will fetch tools, and the youngest children will observe and help in small ways. Women organize meals and refreshments. In short, every person in the community has a planned role before sunrise on the big day. On the morning of the barn raising, families arrive in horse-drawn buggies or wagons as early as dawn. A prayer or church reading often opens the day's work, reflecting the religious nature of the event. After that, the community goes to work. Experienced older men, often those who have led many raisings before, act as crew chiefs. They guide the construction sequence and make sure every task is done safely. Younger men follow their instructions on tasks like raising posts or driving pegs. Because most Amish men learn farming and carpentry from childhood, many are skilled carpenters, and the work is done by hand with practiced efficiency. Meanwhile, women and children play supportive roles. Women set up large kitchens and tend to cooking all day. At mealtimes, they serve hearty hot lunches, often a communal feast around 11 a.m., and sometimes supper. Children stay safely out of the way. Some entertain each other. Others fetch extra tools or materials. As one observer noted of an Amish barn raising film, if you were watching all day, you may or may not have been able to tell who was in charge because everyone seamlessly cooperates. By mid-afternoon, when the heavy work is mostly done, the community often gathers to eat and visit. The structural system for an Amish barn is almost always a timber frame of squared beams, posts and lintels, joined with mortise and tenon joinery. Every major intersection of posts and beams is a precisely cut mortise, slot, and tenon, tongue joint. Once fitted, these joints are pinned with one or more wooden pegs, dowels, which expand to lock the timbers together. No nails or metal connectors are used in the main frame. This method produces a rigid, durable structure by purely mechanical fitting. Traditionally, all cutting and fitting are done with hand tools, broad axes and adzes for squaring logs, framing saws and pit saws for cutting, chisels and mallets for joints, and simple braces for drilling peg holes. Historically, even axe-driven pit saws were used by teams in most old order Amish communities. Even today, the job is done with hand and animal-powered tools. Some communities allow a few gasoline-powered tools, portable sawmill or drills powered by tractor, or battery tools charged by generator, to speed the work. But in many districts, the principles remain the same. As one source notes, depending on the community, you might find only hand tools, but more and more it is not uncommon to find power tools or hybrid tools in use. Raising heavy timbers requires mechanical advantage, even if no electricity is involved. Amish crews often use simple rigs like a gin pole, a tall leaning pole, and a block and tackle pulley system for each bent frame wall. A crew may set up a sturdy pole fixed in the ground next to the post, attach a pulley at the top, and run ropes from the bent through the pulley to a winch or people pulling on the ground. By hauling on the rope or a hand crank come along, a small group can slowly lever a multi-ton beam upright. In one described effort, after initial attempts failed, builders drove a gin pole into the soil and used a triple block and tackle to lift each heavy post into position. When ropes slip or parts break, they replace them. But ultimately, this system means only 2 or 3 men must pull to lift a beam that would be impossible to push by sheer muscle alone. Once a bent is near vertical, a large wooden mallet, sometimes called a persuader, is used to drive the bottom tenons fully into their sill mortises. After each bent is raised, carpenters immediately check it for plumb, vertical alignment, and level. They install temporary braces, diagonal wooden struts, to hold it true. In practice, men may use squares, plumb bobs, or the 3-4-5 triangle rule to check that corners are right angles. By the time all bents are up, the frame is stiffened by multiple crossskirts and purlins that tie the bents together, as well as by the partially completed roof structure. Building the barn on the big day follows a step-by-step sequence, generally along these lines. Early morning, any remaining site tasks are finished. The foundation and sill plates, horizontal timbers on top of the foundation, should already be in place. Workers sweep debris so the frame can be assembled. On the floor of the barn, carpenters assemble one bent flat on the ground. A bent is a single cross-sectional frame, two vertical posts connected by two or more horizontal beams. They square and level it on the sills, then temporarily peg the joints. Using poles, ropes, and muscle power, the crew lifts the bent into a vertical position. Men on one side may push while others pull on ropes or operate a come-along. They lock the bottom tenons into the sill mortises and insert cross-bridging to stabilize it. The process is repeated along the length of the barn. After one bent is braced, workers assemble the next bent on the ground and raise it. As each bent is raised, the frame begins to take shape. Once adjacent bents are upright, carpenters slide or lower the girts, horizontal beams between posts, and purlins, beams connecting the tops of the bents, into place. These timbers may be set on brackets or notches and then pegged. This ties the bents together into a rigid structure. Often a team will lift a long purlin by hand with the help of temporary levers or ladders. At various stages, crews add diagonal braces to prevent the frame from racking. They frequently check that corners remain square and posts remain vertical, making minor shifts if needed. With the wall frame up, attention turns to the roof. In many Amish raisings, the rafters or roof trusses have been pre-cut and partially assembled the day before. Small teams carry the rafters up ladders or climbing the frame to set the lower ends. For very large farms, some communities now use a crane or tractor to lift pre-built trusses. Older Amish methods involve gin poles and ropes or pike poles to lift rafters one by one. Workers nail or peg the rafters to the ridge beam and purlins as they go. Once the last rafter or truss is in place, a traditional topping out ceremony may occur. An evergreen bough or small wreath is placed at the peak of the roof, symbolizing thanks and good luck. Historically, the master carpenter might give a toast or short speech at this point, though Amish services are modest and may simply be a quiet moment of thanks. By early afternoon, the main frame is standing. Carpentry leaders inspect and tighten any loose pegs and add any remaining braces. The structure is now stable but open. At this point, many helpers depart. Lunch is often served around 11 a.m., and by early afternoon most of the heavy lifting is done. After the raising day, the host family, with smaller volunteer crews, completes the barn's exterior. They nail sheathing boards, shingles, or metal roofing, and siding over the frame. Floors, doors, and interior partitions are also added in the days or weeks afterward. Often, the barn becomes fully operational before winter. Throughout this sequence, teamwork is crucial. As one documentarian noted, it's pretty amazing how the whole process is coordinated. Thousands of person-hours of work are compressed into one intense day. By coordinating who lifts, who steadies, and who pegs, the Amish can reliably raise an entire barn frame, even 3 to 4-story barns, in a single daylight period. Key tools and equipment used in Amish barn raising include framing saws, crosscut saws, broad axes, and adzes are used to cut and trim large timbers. Many Amish farmsteads still have teams of men who fell and square logs into beams using axes and hand saws in winter. Heavy timber framing chisels, often driven by wooden mauls, cut precise mortises and tenons. After raising, wooden mallets or sledgehammers, sometimes called persuaders, finish locking pegs into place. Hand-operated brace and bit tools drill holes for the wooden pegs. In some districts, gear-driven augers, powered by battery or tractor, may be used sparingly, but many frames still rely on manual drilling. Simple wooden framing squares and plumb bobs help carpenters keep bents level and posts vertical during assembly. Measuring rods or the 3-4-5 triangle ensure accurate right angles. Thick hemp or synthetic ropes are threaded through block and tackle pulley systems attached to gin poles. In 19th century barn raisings, pulleys salvaged from wagons and hand wound capstans were common. Today, some Amish may use small gasoline engine winches or come-along lever winches for heavy lifts. The host farm often provides space, a cleared field or the new foundation, and any horses or wagons needed. After the frame is up, local teams use ladders and scaffolding, often constructed from spare boards, to finish the roof. Despite the lack of high tech, the Amish effectively use simple machines and their own muscle power. A historian of timber framing notes that such barn raisings resemble Talkit in Finland or other communal builds. They typically use lots of manpower and mechanical advantage, pulleys, levers, rather than motorized cranes. Safety on an Amish barn raising relies on experience, communication, and mutual care rather than formal regulations. There are no modern hard hats or safety rails, but people take precautions in other ways. The crew chiefs continuously communicate. For example, when one team is lifting a post, others stand by to catch or guide it. At least one observer noted that the event was so well organized, you may or may not have been able to tell who was in charge, implying a flat hierarchy, but clear signals. With heavy beams, men lift slowly and deliberately, pausing if any shifting is felt. One report from a barn reconstruction described men pulling the rope with all our might, slowly and carefully raising a beam using block and tackle. As soon as each bent is nearly vertical, helpers prop it with braces. This prevents collapses. Builders then use levels and squares to plumb the posts, and only move on once the frame is stable. Workers keep their heads up and hands clear when beams swing. Younger helpers, boys, often stand by ready to warn if something is off balance. Women keep children at a distance and handle tools and food safely away from the lifting areas. While accidents do occur, they are quite rare in barn raisings. In one detailed account, the most common accidents when they happen are minor falls or being struck by a dropped hammer. The risk is mitigated by the fact that all participants are familiar with the tasks and look out for each other. Overall, safety is built into the process. After raising, the community may hold a quick prayer or a word of thanks. Then everyone knows the main work is done for the day. By dusk, the structure is solid enough that the host can start covering the walls and roof in the following days without danger of collapse. When the main frame is up, most of the community's work is finished. The time-lapse of a typical raising shows the barn frame, ready to go, fully operational by day's end. In practice, often the roof sheathing, boards or trusses, and siding are completed in the next few days by a smaller crew of family and neighbors. Because the frame is usually square and braced, these tasks are easier. If the barn is very large, some sections of wall or loft floor may be finished later. Stalls, loft floors, and other interior features, like a built-in silo or feeding lofts, are generally completed by the owner after the raising. These tasks do not require the whole community's help and can be done at a more relaxed pace. Traditionally, the barn raising ends with a communal meal or dance. Amish gatherings, like frolics or quilting bees, often include festive food. Today, especially in stricter communities, the celebration may be simple: hearty food and fellowship during and after the raising. The day's shared effort typically reinforces community unity, which is one major goal of the event. Finally, the expectation is that the favor will be returned. Families in Amish communities keep track of how many barn raisings each has helped with, creating a mutual credit system. If a family needs help in future, the community knows they have paid into the system by past participation. Barn raising is thus both a practical construction technique and a social institution. In the words of one observer, it remains one of the Amish community's most important events, preserving values of aid and cooperation in a modern world.